Hello everybody and welcome back to the funniest tweets. Today we are reflecting, reacting, memeing to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the final race of the year. We're done. We're dusted. The 2023 F1 season is over. We've still got plenty of memes from you wonderful lot to react to one final time before we then go on to the Charles Leclerc 2024 World Championship campaign, and what a series we will have then. Let's get into them. Ferrari being Ferrari. I'd love to know the amount of times this year we've had a segment about Ferrari, but they were a big talking point because they were fighting Mercedes for P2 in the constructors, so it meant that they had to deliver at the highest standard. And that is what they did, maybe. Sure. At Scuderia F1, Ferrari waiting for a safety car. Now, I am not going to go fully in on Ferrari because they rolled the dice. They went for something a little bit different with Carlos after he had that crash in free practice and then getting knocked out in Q1. And he had probably one of the worst weekends of his Formula One season here in Abu Dhabi, just when Ferrari kind of needed him to step up and just score a few points. Just a handful, not too many. That would have been lovely. A little P7 and Ferrari would have got second in the championship. But that did not happen. And instead, Ferrari put him on a strategy which you could argue felt like they'd just forgotten about him. Just, we'll leave Carlos out there till something happens and then we'll react to it. He went on the hards, then he went on the hards again, which felt kind of weird to go quite long into the race on the hards, then go on the hards again and force yourself into a two-stop. But either or, that's what they decided. Good old Ferrari. And it didn't work. By the way, two things. One, I'm really tired because I got up at 2:30 in the morning today to fly back from Sweden to the UK to do a Twitch watch along. So I hope you enjoyed that. And I apologise for being tired and maybe missing out one or two things. And secondly, and more importantly, we have a live show coming up this week. Like less than a week away in Manchester. The P1 live show is going to Manchester. We've still got a few tickets left for that show if you'd like to come. Glasgow and London are sold out. But if you fancy just a little bit more F1 in your life, you want me and Tommy chatting in your ears, getting involved, interactivity, podcast, everything you could possibly dream of, some prizes to be won, you name it, it's in the show. Meet some new F1 fans. Then there'll be a link in the description if you want to buy those last few tickets for the Manchester show. At Ahmed Bakbar, Charles Leclerc on the radio in the last final 10 laps. Charles Leclerc has a lot of capacity in his brain. I'm not going to go down, I'm not going to start, commending him, but he should be commended. It was a very good race, I think, from Charles once again. And he was trying to desperately help Ferrari. Now, I put a tweet out during the race, which was probably similar time to when Charles started to speak about it, how he needed to let Perez through and slow down Russell. And he was thinking about on the fly about all the different ways in which he could help the team to secure that second in the championship. Now, I don't know if we missed a lot of team radio comms from Ferrari, maybe. I don't think we did, because it seemed like Charles was the one, and I think he even said after the race that he was the one to think of these scenarios to try and help the team secure second in the championship. Why aren't Ferrari being the ones to say, well, look, these are the options, you could maybe do this, maybe do that, to try and help us, beat Mercedes? They didn't. But good old Charles, he gave it a good old go, didn't he? At Bill Kirby 13, the crazy thing about Ferrari is that Charles Leclerc is doing more strategy work in the car at 200 miles an hour than the entire strategy team in the garage. Yes, he is. But look, other teams also have drivers that are constantly trying to think of ways in which they can get an advantage for themselves or for the team. So I'm not going to say it's purely on Ferrari, and I don't think it was a complete disaster today. There have been much, much worse, like Silverstone, Charles Leclerc leading and not pitting from old hard tyres. I'm not over it, and I never will be over it. But yes, Charles Leclerc was on it today. At Crystal Horner, Charles Leclerc coming up with his own strategy to try and take P2 in the constructors. That literally, fine, I'll do it myself. I feel like that just encapsulates Charles Leclerc's Ferrari career, where he genuinely has to take it into his own hands, or there's no guarantee that the right strategy or option will be delivered to him. At Blue Shade 3, Ferrari waiting for a safety car with signs. They do remember they are at Abu Dhabi, where there have been 8 safety cars in 15 years. Look, they rolled the dice. They said, we need a Latifi in this situation, but there was no Latifi. In fact, my crazy prediction in the podcast was that all cars would finish, and they did. And I'm sorry, I genuinely didn't want that point. Oops, just tapped my mic. I genuinely didn't want that point to come true, because usually if there's 20 cars finishing the race, it's not going to be the best of races. And it wasn't exactly a stone cold banger, was it? CT Omen Ferrari strategy with Carlos. I don't know. I feel like maybe the one stop wasn't viable anyway, so I'm not sure what more they could have done. They could have put the hards and then the mediums on, but still, he wouldn't have gone the whole way to the end of the race on that one stop. What they could have done is maybe pit a little bit earlier and go a little bit more aggressive. Carlos's signs? That's how tired I am. Carlos Sainz's race pace wasn't exactly lightning quick. It definitely wasn't his best weekend, as I said. But in hindsight, of course, we're going to say what could have been better. But also, Ferrari could have looked like geniuses had they got a little VSC or a full-blown safety car towards the end of the race. So that's why I'm not going to be too harsh. Just yes, Ferrari pitbull during the Abu Dhabi GP during the last few laps. Betting on a safety car, is this a strategy? It could have been, all right? I'm backing Ferrari. Sure, maybe. For the first time ever. At AWD_Lancer also comes with... There are so many Ferrari memes. I feel like it's every single race weekend. Ferrari strategy team waiting for a safety car. What I do actually want to mention is the Ferrari tweet that was put out on their account during qualifying, where Charles Leclerc went through to Q3 and it said like P3. And then there was a picture of Carlos Sainz's car, which was strange in itself. And then another picture of a meme, of that boxing meme that I absolutely adore, where it basically said, "I'm going to fight for pole, damn Yuki got hands," which I imagine was in response to Carlos Sainz getting knocked out in Q1. But I mean, whoever the admin was that posted that clearly forgot to log out or accidentally added another picture to that meme, to that tweet, because it was hilarious. Like, I was looking at it and it had like 400 quote tweets in about 2 minutes. And that's when you know it was going to blow up social media. Right, there's a few more Ferrari ones, but less about the strategy. At rightonme__. Remember this kid? Oh, I just want more happiness for Charles Leclerc this year. Next year. I can't believe he hasn't won a race. I think he had 5 poles this year. I might be mistaken with that, but I think he had 5 poles. No wins. Really sick of that. Really sick of that, actually. So maybe next year that'll change. At MP_McPsycho, they chose wind tunnel in the end. That's what I'm saying. Big brain strats. P3 instead of P2, you get an incremental advantage when it comes to the wind tunnel time. So who really has won? Mercedes might get an extra 10 mil. Ferrari get 1% more wind tunnel time, which is going to be the difference and what's going to make Charles Leclerc world champion in 2024. Delusion. Honourable mentions. Okay, let's dive into some other non-Ferrari content now. At iErikoff, Max Verstappen wins another race this season. He spent 1.3 million minutes listening to the Dutch show. Yeah, that's what it feels like. It was an outro to the end of the... It felt right, didn't it, to have Max Verstappen on the podium, P1, finishing off the season where he started, because that's all it's ever been this year. And what I will say, and I feel like it needs to be said in this funniest tweet series, is he was unbelievable. Max Verstappen just produced a season that, yes, not a lot of us, obviously Verstappen fans even, probably didn't enjoy him not racing, too many people, but he produced a season that we may well never see ever again. And we do tend to say that after seasons, and then something happens and it's even, something's even better. Something even better happens. Try and get my words out. But this 19 wins out of 22, I don't know how that's ever going to get beaten in terms of a win percentage ratio. But to dominate the way he has, for people to sort of just push away his achievements, say that it's because of the car, this, that, and the other. I feel like I have backed him previously this season. I would also back him now. That Perez has shown that is not the case. It is not autopilot. Other drivers in other teams, other drivers when they've had dominant cars, Lewis Hamilton, Michael Schumacher, anyone, all of those drivers have proved that you can make mistakes and that it is not easy to dominate the way Max Verstappen has this season. So I feel like it just needs to be said, because this 2023 season will go down in history for so many records being broken by Max, and he deserves the accolades that he gets. I can't be bothered with people that say that it's just the car, whatever, his car's dominated. Look, in qualifying, that Red Bull, yes, it has more of an advantage in the race, but it is not 6, 7, 8 tenths clear down the road like the Mercedes was, for example. Max has delivered at a level which we have never seen before, and I will back that to the hilt. At Mr. Idiot, he collects bad engines. That's quite the meme there. I quite enjoyed that, actually. And of course, talking about Fernando Alonso being slow on the straights, I was really hoping that we might get a GP2 engine just as a throwback. But he is actually driving for Aston Martin next year as well, so he probably doesn't want to annoy Lawrence Stroll too much. But he's trying to not only tell the team that no, anyway, they can see on the data that the car's slow in a straight line. They don't need to be told that. What Fernando Alonso is doing is telling everyone, telling us at home, that it is not him, it is not his fault that he can't make all of these moves happen. It's because the engine is not producing enough power. At Christian Guth CZ, Time Traveller moves a chair. The timeline after that. Yuki Tsunoda led the race for actually quite a few laps. Stayed out. Not sure whether that was the right decision to do that. I would have argued perhaps just staying with the same strategy as the cars he was fighting would have been a better choice. That the overcut, in my opinion anyway, the overcut works well when the car that you have is pretty quick. You might expect to beat the Mercedes or the Ferraris or whatever. He's in an AlphaTauri, which was in a position that I don't think anyone really believed he belonged in terms of pace, but he was outperforming the car. So for me, I would argue that they should have maybe, in hindsight of course, stuck with the strategy that was around him in that pack. But still, some solid points from Yuki, and driver of the day, which is fully deserved. At Ola Lee 7, Bottas and Magnussen fighting to be the biggest flop. Oh, I love this GIF so much, so I thought I'd include it. The final time for this 2023 season. And Bottas, look, he must clearly be listening to the B1 channel and the B1 YouTube channel, because, of course, I put him as my biggest flop, and I need to work out how many times I got biggest flop right, which is quite a lot. The power, especially for the lower field runners, it's immediate DNF or terrible race weekend. So I must apologise to Bottas. He'd done nothing wrong. He looked great in practice. And then I just did that to him. So I'm sorry, Valtteri, but I hope you have a lovely off-season. At Camp Colonel, Gogglegate. That was weird, wasn't it? How you just had all these drivers being under investigation, which was so confusing, by the way. I don't know why they're showing the fact that they're all under investigation when there's no way that because their visor's up a little bit that Max Verstappen's going to receive a 10-5 stop-go whatever penalty. It just was very confusing. She had a few drivers all under investigation, similar to how you have in qualifying the maximum delta time has been breached by 20 cars, and then no one ever gets penalised because, well, there's always a reason as to why they've done that, and the FIA allow that reason to happen. I found it very strange, and watch now after saying this that all of those drivers now get disqualified, but I did find it a bit odd that they were all under investigation as drivers rather than the team just getting a fine. Probably should have included this at the start, but I'm going to do it now. At Ace2U 2003, Martin getting stopped by the grid guard. Nobody, and I mean nobody, gets in the way of Martin Brundle. If you disrespect that man, you best believe he will take a mental note and you will never work in Formula 1 again. Okay, you don't mess with the GOAT that is Martin Brundle. All right, he is F1 furniture. You don't move him, you don't block him, you let him interview whoever he wants. And I don't know why this keeps happening still. It's happened more recently at American races, I think it was. We're in Abu Dhabi. We've been there plenty of times. It's the 15th year, apparently, that we've been there, which is a long time, and I can't believe we've been there that long. Just let Martin do what he needs to do, okay? At Blue Shade 3, the TV direction tonight is giving me so whiplash, flying between 4 different cars and battles in the space of 10 seconds. Yep, TV direction. Could have been better in the last few races, I'll be honest with you. More recent, obviously, for this Grand Prix where, I mean, to be fair, obviously there's that where they were cutting in between battles and you were like, whoa, okay, Hamilton's in the wall, or not in the wall, it's just crashed into the back of someone, or there was a few moments like that where they cut quite late. But the one thing for me that annoyed both myself and Tommy on our P1 live stream for the watch along for the race was where they essentially just roll 8 million replays on lap 3. The DRS gets enabled and they go, nothing's going to happen, surely. Charles Leclerc's only 9/10 behind Max Verstappen, DRS wide open, anything could happen, and they're all jostling for position, all within DRS. But no, they roll so many replays. Why do they not just roll these, all of these clips on lap 8, 9, 10, or whenever is deemed feasible, when Max has done his inevitable thing of just driving away, and then we don't have a fight for the lead? Just do it then. I don't know why they do it so early. It's literally just happened. Why do I need to see another replay of the start? I've just watched it. Let's wait a few more laps. Let us see the action. And then once it's all settled down, we roll the replays in. Let's not keep it so procedural. Not lap 3, press the button, boom. Also, speaking of the start of the race, just want to say Max Verstappen's defence was outrageously good. I thought Charles Leclerc was through several times. I was squealing into turn 1 and also into the hairpin after the long straight. I thought both times Charles had it. And Max said, no, you will not have the P1. At Clem Umbreon, yes, the famous Paul de Vries for Estonia driving for Trident Formula 1 team. I mean, I don't have a clue how they've managed that. Obviously, Nick de Vries is what they maybe, wanted to put, but they stuck Paul in there, put an Estonian flag, the Alpha Tauri, which of course is what Nick de Vries was driving, so nearly there, and then Trident. I don't even know. And of course, on that page is Logan Sargent finishing 21st of a 20-driver grid officially, obviously. And then Max Verstappen champion. Just 3 drivers all chilling, and yeah, what a graphic. Right, it is now Tommy's tasty tweet time for one final time this year. The 2023 season is over. Tom Bellingham, who has won a copy of EA's F1 23.
Well, it had to be some more of your Ferrari paint, didn't it? It is...
Oh, great.
Damianos _F1 with Ferrari fans after the first race of 2024. And just many dates crossed out. And let's be honest, I'm already looking forward to the predictions for 2024. And we know exactly who you're predicting world champion. And
well, you never know.
You never know.
It depends how much delusion I am channeling at the moment of recording, but it's going to be spicy all the same. I'm looking forward to yours as well, because I feel like you could be popping off. Sometimes your delusion for Fernando Alonso gets a little bit out of hand, and
true.
Maybe, I mean, you said P7, and we thought that was delusional in the Drivers'
very
Championship,
true.
but we'll reflect all of that in the next few weeks. But thank you, Tommy, and well done to Damianos. You win F1 23. Right, that is it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the final episode of 2023 for the funniest tweets. I need to say a massive, huge, heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you for tuning into this series, our podcast, whatever it might be. We've had such an amazing season, and it's all thanks to you tuning in and listening to our ridiculous F1 waffle and opinions. Please leave a like if you did enjoy this series. It's great to hear your feedback. If anything you would like moving forward into next year, please let us know as well, because we are all ears and we want to improve the P1 experience for you all going into next year. Make it feel fresh, make it feel exciting, because we love the sport, we love you guys, and we want to make the best content we can for you all. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to be sad to not do this for another 3 months. But it is less than 100 days, so that's exciting, because Formula 1 off-season seems to be getting shorter and shorter each year we go by. But thank you once again. The content will continue. We'll do lots of review stuff over the next few weeks. Of course, we'll chill out a little bit over Christmas and whatnot, but we look forward to coming back next year. Charles Leclerc, trust me, it's happening. World Champion 2024. You best believe the delusion levels will be through the roof. And yeah, from the funniest tweets series and myself, sounds weird. Sounds like I'm not going to see you for 3 months. I am. But from this series, we shall be back in 3 months. So we'll see you there. Lots of love.